graphics up for you.
All right, I'm in.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. It's time for The Finish Line with Mike Melby on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Start your engine!
Good evening and welcome to The Finish Line. Right here on 93.7 The Ticket is, I would say that Doug's over here air drumming, but he drums for a living as well, so he doesn't really need to air drum. My name is Mike Melby. That is Rebecca Pearson. And our second co-host tonight is going to be Doug Lovegrove. He is a former Eagle Raceway track champion. He is a gentleman who drums for a band called Swap Meet Sally that plays just about every place here in Lincoln and has for many, many years. You own at least one business. Is it just one right now, or do you own a couple?
No, it's just Lovegrove Homes. Is
okay, so now you're just doing the homes. Now. Okay.
Yeah, when we sold the last grocery store, we kind of sold everything, sold all the rentals, so got rid of everything, and
really, okay,
decided just to make life simple for a little while.
Not a bad idea. No. I know how it goes. Yeah. It has been interesting. I know last Sunday on the show, there was I was kind of excited. Rebecca's starting to figure sprint car racing out and how fun and well, kind of cool it is.
Let me know how that works when you get to it.
Got to put me in a car.
We're working on that.
Yep, we're working on that.
So, but just stoked about this week. And it's more, to me, it was more about the fact that, and it took a guy that is, his heart is in it and he has the money and the wherewithal, Tony Stewart, to put the money up to say, hey, y'all, this is pretty cool. And we're going to pay somebody $1 million to win a sprint car race. And then to talk about it leads into the whole story of this week, the drama that unfolded. Literally, it's announced 10 hours before they were going to start motor heat on Wednesday. Anthony Macri's out of the 39M. Oh, by the way, his father owns the car. They had a difference of opinion the night before. Lance DeWeese agrees to jump in, but big bombshell. That happens right before Eldora Million opening night. And DeWeese struggled for the million, did okay, made the show with the Kings Royal on Saturday night. And then Logan Schuchart wins $1,002,023, and then he can't put it in the show last night.
Yeah.
That's the parody. And for the first time in Brad Sweet's racing career with the World of Outlaws as a full-time tour member, did not make any feature, couldn't make the main at the Kings Royal at
when they got the rain during the day, and you knew it was going to be a lot of follow the leader.
Yeah, it truly was. It was all luck on the way things drew, and then that invert just killed him. Mm-hmm. The wheel of misfortune.
Yeah, that B feature was something
unbelievable. So, Rebecca, you were able to make a pit stop out at Eagle last night.
I was.
And I think you were in the pits for the first time. How was it?
I was. Yeah, no, it was great. I was telling Doug that it brings back all the wonderful memories of what it's like to be in the pits. Just the camaraderie, right? That's the thing that you notice the most. But I was able to go up and look at the cars up close since I haven't had a chance to do that, talk to people. Met a young gal out there, 24 years old, running in modifieds that we'll probably try to bring on here.
Absolutely.
Brianna Fan Steel. Yep. Shout out to you, number 33. And then hung out with Mike Boston, of course, in the pits and see what was going on. Not a great night for them, unfortunately. We had a little fender bender going on there, but anyway, it was fun.
Well, and I know, Doug, last night was not a night that you're going to write home about.
No, we've had plenty of those this year.
Yeah. What happened last night?
In hot laps, it was popping out of gear and then hammering back in hot laps. And so we pulled it in, messed with it a little bit. And I thought, I'm going to go out and just try and see if miraculously it fixes itself for the heat race. And we took the flag and into turn 3 at the worst possible place, on entry, it loses power, it basically comes out of gear and, tight and pushes out of the way. I was glad I was on the outside and, no one drove through me. So we limped it to the trailer, and now we're going to tear it apart and start over.
And just watch the rest of the night.
Yes.
Called it good.
Oh, it makes me crazy.
Doug, I'm going to ask you, you've been following sprint car racing for a long time. Rebecca, I'm going to ask you the same question because of your relationship with Tony Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
Doug, were you surprised that we are today saying King Donnie the 40th? for the 6th time in his career with the year he's had ever since 2019 on. It is just, and that's kind of when the Fords came on board with TSR. He has struggled at times, and then big races seem to bring out the best in that crew. Were you surprised that Donnie Schatz was the winner of the Kings Royal?
Yes, and the reason I say that is I think if that track would have widened out, there'd have been top and bottom. It'd been again, typical Eldora against the wall and a lane around the bottom. I don't know if that would have been the finish. I think it was one nice lane, and he'll run the center, whether the center is good or not, and he can make it work. And that Ford makes a lot of power.
Yep.
And off he went. From the start, we were able to watch it because with the rain out there, and I wasn't apparently doing anything else, so we were sitting in the trailer watching the feature. And when I saw that he was on the front, and it was still pretty heavy, I'm like, well, you're going to get to see the Ford run.
Yeah, that you are. I want to talk a little bit more in depth about that. Rebecca, any surprise about it? Because I know you obviously Tony very well and know his dedication to the sport, and
definitely
he always puts together the best teams.
Sure. No, I thought it was great. It was fun. Since I was at Eagle last night, I was not watching it live, but I watched all the clips today. A couple of nasty wrecks there. Everybody walked away from that, which was great. But I was happy for Donnie. Right, we had this conversation last week. Already I say premature because I know Tony's very committed, but I think it was great for Donnie. A win's a win, right? Mm-hmm. It's like you say, hey, you're in the right place, right time, stuff's going your way. The next race, it's not in your favor, right? So you take it, even though, and I think he knows he had some things going in his favor.
Not a bad one to win when it pays 175 grand.
I'd rather be lucky than good.
Exactly. We'll get into a little bit more of that. Next, I want to jump into Victory Lane, and a big shout out to Mike Boston and Eagle Chassis for coming on board as the sponsor of the Victory Lane segment here on the Finish Line. If you own a sprint car, hey Doug, you own a sprint car?
Yes.
I'm just saying, if you need some frame repair, Mike Boston's the guy to call. 402-826-0302. Big thanks to Mike for sponsoring the Victory Lane segment.
Now, can you walk? Am I going to have to carry you? Where to? Victory Lane.
Come around here. Head over there. That's where everybody wants to be, and that's where this party's going to finish. Victory Lane.
He's waited 15 years to get back to Victory Lane here at Talladega.
For the 11th time in his illustrious career, Donnie Schatz back in Victory Lane at the Knoxville.
He's making the right-hand turn into NOS Energy Drink Victory Lane.
The most anticipated moment in the history of NASCAR racing. Dale Earnhardt rolling into Victory Lane in the Daytona 500.
And again, a big thank you to Eagle Chassis and Mike Boston for sponsoring the Victory Lane segment. And NASCAR, speaking of, they rained out. They're going to race tomorrow at New Hampshire. Xfinity, they did get the race in yesterday. John Hunter Nemechek gets his second win in a row. Those two series will be at Pocono, along with the Truck Series next week for NASCAR. High Limit Series, Dark, All-Stars, Dark, World of Outlaws, Kings Royal, Friday night. Carson Macedo dominated the night before the big one. And then last night, Donnie Schatz wins his 6th Kings Royal, takes home a $175,000 check, and he is now one win behind the King, Steve Kinser, for most Kings Royal wins. That would be interesting. Do we have to, because Steve's always going to be the king, but man, if Donnie ever wins like an 8th, if he somehow puts it together, that could be interesting. World of Outlaw sprints are at BAPS on the 21st, or no, on the 19th, they're at BAPS Motor Speedway, and then Williams Grove next weekend, the 21st and 22nd. World of Outlaw late models on Friday night. Mike Marlar goes from 22nd to 1st, takes the lead with about 5 laps to go, wins at Junction City at Ponderosa Speedway. Then Saturday night, it was postponed. Mother Nature has been winning a lot this year. It's just just sucks. World of Outlaw late models off next week. They will be at Fairbury Speedway in Illinois, the 28th and 29th of July. Lucas Oil late models Tuesday. Jonathan Davenport wins at Davenport Speedway. Then Friday night at Tri-City was rained out, and at Lucas Oil Speedway at Wheatland, Missouri last night. Davenport takes 2 on the week. They will be at Huset's Thursday, Friday, Saturday next weekend. Big late model show up at the Bull Ring in Sioux Falls. Knoxville last night, it was the 360 shootout. Doesn't happen often that the 360 show overshadows the 410 show at Knoxville, but last night it was a big one. And the quickest chicken takes home the win. Chase Randall in the Bush's Chicken number 9. He wins it locally. We had Joey Danley over there. He was 14th in the B. Stewie Snyder, 15th in the B. Ryan Roberts from Aurora was 5th in the B. Didn't quite make the show. And then another local driver we saw kind of cut his teeth at Eagle, John Klubundy, was the last car to not transfer out of the C, 5th in the C at the 360 shootout. 410s did run last night at Knoxville. Austin McCarl picked up the win. They've got another weekly show next Saturday. At Eagle last night, Tyler Drucke, you got to watch it, unfortunately. You weren't involved.
Yeah,
but
put on a clinic.
he put on a show. He runs 2nd in the B, starts 17th, and winds up winning the Sprint Car A feature at Eagle Raceway last night.
On the last lap.
Yeah, they did. Now, I didn't, obviously, I wasn't there. Walk me through that race, because I read about it, but you guys could give me a firsthand account.
Gene was leading towards the 3/4 of the way through. Gene got the lead, and he was strong on the bottom. And here come Tyler. I mean, I was watching Trevor Grossenbacher, and he looked like he was good, and he was slowly kind of gaining on him. And then here come Tyler, 20 mile an hour quicker. And here I was like, boy, wonder how many laps are left. I wish I could count.
Yep.
And boy,
and then the final pass
he got him.
Yep.
And Gene saw him on exit of 4 and come off twice as hard as he had the whole race. And I went over and told him that. I'm like, if you'd ran it out of 4 every time like you did that last lap, he wouldn't have been anywhere near you. And I know.
Hindsight.
So it was nice of me to rub some salt in his wound. But still, second's fine.
It is. It's you know what?
No,
you've raced
no,
enough.
It's not.
No, it's not.
Hey, wrenching all the times that I was ever helping out in the pits. The bottom line was, most of the times with the luck that we had, if we could roll it back on the trailer, it was still a good night. So I've never. I wish I could have been there for Boston's win last week, but I had other stuff that came up and I couldn't make it out.
It says similar deal.
Yeah,
he just he rolled right where he rolled and
found his way.
It was quick.
Yep.
Cole Wayman picks up the win last night at Eagle in the modifieds. Ran 4th, I think, in the sprints
strong
as well.
Yeah.
Cole's a guy that is really coming on. Like it's tough to drive 2 different kinds of cars, especially same night and same track. And Cole's a guy that's had some success on both sides, modifieds and sprints. Josh Pfeiffer wins the sport mod feature at Eagle last night. Dylan Richards picks up the stock car win. And Roy Armstrong, man, Roy has been driving at Eagle in anything and everything. I go back to the Thunder trucks back in the late 90s.
Yeah.
He was out there winning features. But Roy picks up the win in the stock cars last night. Beatrice, the point champion in every class of Beatrice is Mother Nature this year. They've just had horrible luck. Malvern Bank 360 series. They were part of the 360 show at Nashville last night for the 360 shootout. And as we mentioned, Chase Randall picks up the win. They're off until the 19th of August when they'll race out at Junction Motor Speedway in McCool Junction. That'll wrap up Victory Lane. Big thanks again to Eagle Chassis and Mike Boston for sponsoring the Victory Lane segment. Talking about the track at Eldora last night, I want to get into a little bit more of it. When you go through and you watch the highlights, you watch it live, you watch the highlights. I watched the highlights today. The thing that stood out is when sprint cars go through the corner, the last thing that they want to do is look like they are an 8-year-old that has just finished a bomb pop and they're sitting on the port swing, rocking back and forth as fast as they can, side to side. And almost every car is just bouncing left to right, left to right, left to right. The rain had a ton to do with that. That track also, all of the cars that got upside down in the feature, it was all because of the track. It wasn't contact anywhere or whatever.
There was a lot of grip, and
that's what happens.
It was rough.
From a driver's perspective, what is that like, Doug, when it's that rough of a track?
15 years ago, it was fun. Now, it depends. There's 2 kinds of rough. There's the rough where the car gets a little upset, and if it's decent and you got enough shock control in the rear, it doesn't really get on your radar that much. It's just part of getting around the corner. And then there's when it's bad and you're, at Eagle Turn 1, there's nights where there's one lane you can get through it. And I don't ever remember to do it right twice, but you pay for it. And actually even in hot laps last night, there was a pretty good buck into Turn 1 on the bottom, and I blasted down there, and I was a little too sideways when I got it. I had picked the whole car off the ground in hot laps. And I was like, okay. And, it's part of, it's part of the racing. It's just same track for everyone.
So do you all do anything with tires and dirt track? When you're on asphalt, you're always dealing with tires, right?
Oh,
If it's going to be raining or it's hot.
Well, you only get
So-
stagger choices.
Yep.
Same, it's the same compounds.
Yep.
But
You don't switch them up depending on what condition the track is in that night.
wait, no, you might
Well-
run a little more stagger, so it
Mhm.
keeps some weight off
Yep.
the.
If you want to go back to the late 70s when the World of Outlaws started in the 80s, 90s, and through not that long ago, they had softer and harder compounds that you could trade out. Tires weren't $375 a piece then,
Yeah.
or $425 a piece then either. But you would have guys, and guys like Carl Kinzer and Ricky Warner, they're probably the two best crew chiefs in the history of sprint car racing. Those guys would figure out how to put a setup on a car, whether with shocks and with the torsion bars and just where they would adjust things. But it would always be tires, not necessarily pressure. It would be the compound and the mix of the stagger that they would put on it. And the other thing that comes into play from a sprint car standpoint, and Doug, as you know, is the distance that right rear and on occasion the left rear is away from the frame.
Mhm.
You got a dry slick racetrack and your right rear tire is a little bit too far out, you're going to get dizzy. Because you're going
to get a hold of nothing.
You're going to get
and likewise, if it's rough and the right rear's, you're into 16 and a half, 16 inches,
Yep.
you'll know it
Yeah.
because you're going to pick the whole car up on it. And
that may be fun to watch from the stands, but not necessarily from
not
the
so
seat.
much in the car, but like the tire compound thing, I think that kind of went away to slow the cars down a little bit.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, bottom
And
line.
it just wasn't necessary. The guy, back then the shock technology wasn't anywhere what it is now. I mean, now there's so much control, like to the left rear, that you can make about anything. If they let you run those soft tires, I mean, you could run right through the center wide open in about anything without being that good at it, and so it just isn't, and it isn't necessary. I don't think. I wish they were harder. I wish the tires were even harder than what we have.
Really?
Yeah, because it makes more of a driver,
It's just a safety thing at this point, or yeah.
No, it's just
No,
what they've
just
chose.
what they've chosen,
it's
okay.
yeah. To me, the harder it takes a little bit of the motor out of it because that tire's not gonna hook up as good as a softer tire.
Is how fast are you going around in turn one at Eagle?
I don't know.
60,
Probably 90.
90.
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll hit about in the 305s, probably 100, 102. Maybe
entry,
yeah, on
probably.
entry into one. When the high limit series was there, they're averaging about 108 miles an hour, 106 to 108 miles an hour for the whole time around. They're probably at 114 to 118
That's what I would guess.
on entry into one. We did have the troopers come out when Cormac bought Eagle Raceway, and I believe your first year was 97, was it
Yes.
not? That first year that Craig owned the track.
Mm-hmm. As rookie of the year,
Yeah, you were.
it was amazing.
And
I don't know how that happened.
well, and the best part, and because now that you're here, I want to have you tell the story,
Oh no.
because back in 97, you come out and obviously Rick Schwiger and myself reinvented kind of how people announced at a dirt track. We did not have a mason jar of moonshine
Or a cowbell.
nor a cowbell. We did have a like 80,000 watt sound system
Mm-hmm.
and the okay to play some rock music as long as it wasn't too rock music-y. Me being at the Blaze at the time,
Yeah, I was
they're
gonna
like,
say.
anything you guys play on your radio station mic, you cannot play here. And I was like, all right, fine. But one of the other things is we invented and started really getting the crowd into it. And we had the orange cone that we put out in the front stretch, and Steve Janisek became cone guy.
The cone guy, sure.
And Doug Lovegrove drove the 44 and he painted it to look like a cow. And Kemp's, I believe, was the sponsor
At
behind
the
that.
beginning, it was Gillette, Nebraska Dairies. And so we were in the grocery bit. My brother and I were in the grocery business, and we got to know the guy that owned it. He was from Norfolk, and he was crazy. I mean, he's since passed away, but he was a fun guy, and he had done really well. And I thought, what am I going to do? I only raced for a year and a half in a dwarf car. I'm like, this is not going to go good. So I'm like, well, let's make it do something stupid, I'm like, paint it like a cow. And we took it up and put it in his parking stall, and he didn't know anything about it, and he was all about it, and he wanted
Yep.
shirts and the whole thing.
And it was only like 5 or 6 weeks in, and there are little kids that are running around in like Halloween costumes that are cows.
Mhm.
I love it.
And it was, but that was just kind of part of the growth of that track. And to bottom line, man, is like, yeah, everybody come out and get dirty and whatever and drink some beer, but man, have some fun.
Yes.
And that's what it truly became all about. And then it may have been the last weekend or maybe even the Nebraska Cup.
It was the Nebraska Cup, and I know where you're going with this.
So I alluded to this when I had your good friend Dana Dickey on, and you went down the backstretch, and I don't know if somebody punted you. I think somebody did.
I climbed the backstretch wall and flipped down, the grass above the wall.
Yep.
I flipped down that. That was the first time I had tumbled in a car, and it was pretty good. And I never lifted all the way down that wall.
Wow.
And
So
I was trying to blow it up, and I was. I had built my own 360. I built my own engine,
Okay. Yep.
and we got, rookie of the year, but we had so much problems with it, trying to get it to. And there was another night that the temperature gauge was buried, and I didn't pull out. We just kept running it, and it would not blow up.
well, and you built the motor, which
Yeah.
should say something about your skills with building
Exactly.
a motor, man.
Yeah, we've come a long way.
Well, your first year is experimental all the way
Yeah.
around, right? You're just trying whatever you
I had
can.
built some streetcar motors, some hot rod motors, and that, but this was on a different level. But back then it wasn't like it is. Everybody didn't have a $60,000 360 to run. There was quite a few guys that were building their own, or the guys with resources would have Larson or House, local guys.
Yeah,
there was 3 or 4 local guys that were building motors that that's what they would run. And I tried to blow, and it didn't blow up. The tag stop, it goes to 10,000. It was 10,000.
Holy smokes!
And I remember when I
Still
landed,
didn't blow.
the safety crew used to have an elder. I call her elder. She was an older lady, like gray-haired lady. And when I landed, and she was always the guy, or always the person that they sent to the car to check to see if the driver was okay, for whatever reason.
Wow.
And because I suppose if you're mad or if you're knock stupid, and I remember she said, "Do you know where you are?" And I looked at her, I'm like, "I think I'm in heaven." And so after that, I thought, I don't know that was the smartest thing to say, because now does she think that I'm injured, or? And I was just messing with her. I was frustrated. I just wrecked my car. I didn't blow the motor. That was the plan. And yeah, that was my first experience with dumping a car.
Fun. That's Doug Lovegrove. We're going to get more stories from him, talk more about racing, and who knows what else. Austin Norman behind the board. I'm Mike Melby. That's Rebecca Pearson. Back with more on the Finish Line right here on 93.7 The Ticket after this.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a forward week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, a 1K, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
You don't think about your roof very often, but you should never take it for granted. Roofing Service Company takes every measure to provide you with the highest quality roofing solution. Whether it's a new roof installation, roof repair, or a re-roofing project, their overall goal is to provide you with a pleasant experience and a long-lasting roof. If you have a need for siding or gutters, they're your place too. Visit roofingservicecompany.com for more info today.
On the Block with Strick and Austin.
Sometimes playing with a healthy fear is good because it makes you go, 100 out. Because the more tentative you are, I always told kids, I said, listen, if you don't like this and you don't want to play, don't play. Because you're going to be worse off and get probably hurt more by being tentative in your play as opposed to playing all out.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Sunday morning. It's quiet, not in a weird, too quiet way. Calm, peaceful, tranquil. You pour yourself that cup of coffee. You slice yourself a hearty chunk of one of Beatrice Bakery's breakfast breads. Now, maybe you're an apple streusel guy. Nothing wrong with that. I can respect that. Personally, I'm a turtle nut man. Something about those pecans. But the real ones know, don't sleep on that date nut bread. Sweet, but not too sweet. Nutty, not overly. The perfect morning treat. Beatrice Bakery. Online at BeatriceBakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
Are you searching for a helping hand in life? Look no further. Integrated Behavioral Health Services is your answer. They're your compassionate, trusted partners committed to guiding you challenges to triumphs. Their licensed professionals offer personalized therapy for individuals, couples, and families. At IBHS, the focus is you. Experience a life-changing transformation in an environment tailored to your unique needs. Visit ibhealthservices.com today and take that first step towards a brighter future. Discover the power of healing with Integrated Behavioral Health Services. You're not alone. Let them walk this journey with you.
Need service on your home air conditioner? Call the company Lincoln has counted on since 1952, Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating. No matter what brand you have, when you need service, you want Bryant's experienced pros working for you. Friendly NATE certified technicians with the tools, training, and technology to restore your comfort quickly. No matter what brand, when you need service, just call Bryant. 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Up your kitchen game with Kitchen Tune-Up. With experienced, creative, and dedicated technicians on their team, Jason, Ron, and the team bring your kitchen dreams to life. Say goodbye to outdated spaces and hello to a renewed, personalized kitchen that will make you the envy of your friends, neighbors, and family. Experience quality craftsmanship and exceptional customer service when you choose Kitchen Tune-Up. Visit kitchentuneup.com/Lincoln-NE today or call 402-200-4697 and achieve the kitchen tune-up of your dreams.
I always had to be so good, no one could ignore me. Carve my path with data and drive. But some people only see who I am on paper. The paper ceiling, the limitations from degree screens to stereotypes that are holding back over 70 million stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time for skills to speak for themselves. Find resources for breaking through barriers at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
Back to the finish line with Mike Melby on 93.7 at ticketfm.com.
Welcome back to the finish line here on 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. If you are watching on the stream, it is the Sartor Heyman live stream. You can watch all of our live broadcasts in studio live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Also, Allo Channel 951. And if you want to be a part of the show, you can call or text the Honda of Lincoln hotline or Sartor Heyman text line at 402-464-5685. I'm Mike Melby. In studio with me, as always, Rebecca Pearson, Austin Norman driving the car tonight, and our special co-host all hour long, Doug Lovegrove, former Eagle Raceway track champion, and a guy that I've known for, let's see, I'm 55. I moved into that house when I was 7, so I've known you for 48 years.
Scary.
Wow.
It is, yeah.
Can you believe that we grew up across the street from each other?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But isn't that fun? That's cool too.
Oh, it is cool.
Okay, we need Melby stories when we are off air.
Oh
here,
yeah,
so,
I've
when
got
he was a kid.
I got a few.
One of the best, most fun things that we did when we were kids is when it would snow, and it was like a lot of snow, and we were too young to scoop, or maybe we'd help with like a little shovel. The little bits of it's like 20 square feet of yard between driveways,
right?
And the snow would pile up. And Bellstorfs and Lovegroves had the perfect, both big driveways. And your dad,
and Bob and my dad would blow all the snow onto that,
right, and make this giant wall thing.
Well, then it turned into a giant
fort. Of
Yes.
course, absolutely.
just ginormous.
The only way to go.
The igloo.
I'm a fort gal. Oh, many forts in my house.
Oh, we had so much.
Oh,
fun.
we did.
Definitely forts
We had a great
outside,
time.
inside. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. How long did the fort would last? Like way
Oh,
beyond
yeah.
the snow was
It
melted,
would turn
right?
to ice and
Right.
last forever.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool. I love that.
Oh yeah.
I bet there's a picture somewhere of the two of you.
Yeah,
in
our
the
street was
fort.
terrible for backyard football though, because Brad and Darren Worrell.
Yeah,
I mean they were like very, very good football players.
Yeah, Brad was 6.
Brad was shaving at like 9.
Yeah,
I mean
Brad was 6'3", 225 as a freshman.
Yeah.
And he was the fullback on the football
Destin.
team.
Mhm.
Yeah, he lived across the street.
Didn't Darren break the Shrine Bowl rushing record at
Yeah.
one point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, they just beat on us. It
Oh
was
yeah,
terrible.
yeah. Backyard football. We when Renike's lived there, Julie Renike would try to be the coach of the team, And
look at you now. You're co-hosting the finish line.
Yes,
they got
exactly.
nothing on
Look
you.
where we've come.
Yeah, they
Exactly.
got nothing on you.
Yeah, I wish I would. I'm 6'2", 220 now, but then I was like 5'7", nothing. It was.
I was 27 before I had shoulders.
Yeah.
It was so like in high school, I was 5'9", 5'10", and I weighed like 108 pounds as a senior. This diminutive little person.
Yeah.
But
I went to my 10-year reunion, and all the guys I looked up to, I was taller than all of them. I bloomed at like 22. I didn't understand it.
No explanation, right? Mother Nature or
know.
something. Yep.
So before we went to break, we were talking about 97, and you win Rookie of the Year, and you tried to blow up your motor in one of that was a bad accident. When you said right at the end of it, you said, and then after the fourth end over end flip, I fell off the wall and back onto the track. And it like brought back the memory of it. And I remember watching it, and I was like,
it landed on its wheels. Well,
yeah,
the frame.
And I was like, damn, I hope he's okay. And, we get word over, and then races are over, and John Hart, rest in peace, John, one of the greatest people ever.
Yes.
John comes, he finds me right after the race very quickly. And he goes, I have to ask you something. You know Doug pretty well, right? And I'm like, well, yeah, I've known him for a long time. And he goes, does he have a problem? Does he have does he have a screw loose? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes,
that's a tough question to answer with
it really was.
How bizarre.
Regarding me.
But he goes, I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, I'm standing where his car landed essentially. And the whole time his car's flipping, it sounded like his motor was like at 10,000 RPM.
It was, yeah.
And so I'm like, I don't know.
Foot on the gas while you're going through the air.
Yeah. And so I go over and I just, chatting with Doug a little bit, and he told me what was going on. And I meandered back over to John as we were both having a beer. And I said, yeah, he's trying to blow up the motor. And he's just like, what?
Yeah. It was so frustrating that I thought, if I blow it up, I'll either have to do something else, or I'll have to take, some time off to come out here with something that runs better.
It wasn't meant to be.
It's kind of a backwards way of thinking about it, but I work like that.
It worked. So you're one of the few guys. I know there's got to be more than a handful, but I don't think there's a whole lot. You have a Rookie of the Year. You have a point champion trophy. You have a second place, and a third and fourth and fifth and sixth and seventh and eighth and a ninth and a 10th.
I think I have all the way to 16th.
Okay.
Wow.
There's not a lot of guys. And I mean, I get it. Guys that have raced out there for many, many years, there's probably some, but what was it like the first time you got a top 10 trophy?
Actually, it was pretty cool. I mean, I'm a win it or wear, if I don't win, I pout kind of guy, So if I walk up to pick up the second place trophy and I'm like, I left it on the table. So I don't, my makeup of who I am as a person is I'm always looking forward. And my cousin Aaron helped me for years and years, a very smart kid. And he's one of those, I think there's a name for what he has, but he can name any day, like any day of his life, he can tell you what happened on it. I mean, it's freakish. He's the anti-me because I can't tell you. I mean, he would name a year and I couldn't even tell you what color the car was, much less where we ran or how I ran or what we did. And he was quite useful because he could never forget a setup. To this day, I can text him and go, hey, when we ran this track at this, what gear, he can tell me exactly what gear was in it. He can tell me every single thing that the car was.
It's like football players who remember, though, right? I mean, they remember the play in some game and they played 10, 15, 20 years and they remember exactly where people were.
I am not that guy.
Yep. There are people like that. Yeah.
When I win a race, about an eighth of a second after I cross the finish line, I'm already like, okay, how could I have done that better?
Yeah.
How am I going to win next week?
That's interesting.
Almost to the point it's not, I'm trying to work on that because I want to enjoy the win, enjoy that you got some success for the wind blew your direction once. And I struggle with that.
Well, and speaking of the wind blowing somebody's direction, again, a little bit shocking. Donnie Schatz is the 40th Kings Royal winner. But it also is something that you kind of embrace. It was stunning that he was the guy that won Knoxville last year.
Mm-hmm. It wouldn't shock me if he won it again this year.
I think he's on a roll, right?
So
yeah.
And the thing is, this week
off a high,
he may not finish top 10. on Friday and Saturday night. But when it comes
Mhm.
to the bigger races, for you as a driver, when you are racing in bigger races, whether it was the Lawrence Ideas, the Nebraska Cup, some 360 show that paid a little bit more, whatever the case may have been, was there anything you did different? Did you have a different mindset? Did you race hard? What was it like? Is there a switch that you can flip because it is simply that much more important?
No, not for me. And, you know, it takes me this last week when they were interviewing drivers about racing for $1 million. I don't think it matters. The only thing, I think it was Lance Deweese they were actually interviewing, and he said it pretty good. I think the only time that factors in is on the last lap and you're in second place. You'll do something dirty.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most guys would. For $1 million,
exactly.
I'll dump your car and I'll buy you another one.
What do I got to
I'll
lose,
pay your
right?
hospital bill and buy you another one.
Well, and I want to ask your thoughts, because you know as well as more than anybody in this room, but as well as anybody that races at Eagle or that's raced for a living, especially a sprint car, how expensive they are. And we've heard reports in the last 6-8 months from varying sources about the cost to actually drop the trailer for some teams that run World of Outlaws. It's $10,000 just to drop the door of the trailer and roll the car out into the pits. When you do that, you have just written a check for $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
It costs $900,000 to $1 million a year. And some of the guys that have got the money to throw spent $1.3 million a year to run a full World of Outlaws series tour. Logan Schuchart and Jacob Allen, two guys that are part of Shark Racing, Scruffy's crew. They're both grandchildren of Bobby, right? Or is Jacob's his son?
Jacob is his grandson, I think, and Schuchart is like, it's something weird. It's like Schuchart is Jacob's uncle. It's something weird. They're almost the same age, but they're not of the same generation, I don't think. I could be wrong, but somebody explained it to me once, and like I covered earlier, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about what I already thought about.
So, but when Justin Fielder, who does Dirt Tracker daily, had talked about the costs, one of the comments that he got in the comment section below was from Logan Schuchart. And he said, just so you know, it costs us right at about $320,000 a year because we have to do things differently. We don't have that kind of sponsorship dollars.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that kind of money in our back pocket. When they came on tour back in 2014, I believe, Schuchart and Allen, and they tried to run the series full time, they did not get hotel rooms a lot of the time. They slept on the floor of the trailer.
I watched an interview that they went back and forth between them talking about that, and they were basically like, well, Grandpa feeds us.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Which is so fascinating to me. So my prior life, I was sponsorship queen at ExxonMobil. That's how I know Tony Stewart and Lewis Hamilton, all these folks. And it is curious to me, Dirt Track doesn't seem to attract sponsorships and purses the way, you know, some of the other series do. Even when you're talking World of Outlaws, right? You've got the same quality of racers as you have in a NASCAR or Formula One or anything else, right? These people are just as good, but it just doesn't attract the money. I don't know why. I'm a marketing person, so I'm curious as to why that is.
I would assume exposure. You know, it's not
right,
on,
but why?
It's not on regular television,
right? Which means the audience isn't there, right? One thing
Yeah.
begets another, but you have to ask yourself, why not? Why is there no audience for that? It's one of the oldest. It is the oldest, right, way of racing in the country. Because you didn't need to have a paved track, you could literally race almost anywhere. So I'm fascinated by why it didn't attract the audience, doesn't attract the sponsorship dollars. Coming from the background that I have, you know, and going to the races, which is what I love seeing. Why, you know, with great fans, we talked about it's very accessible. It's a family, community oriented, right? You like that camaraderie. It's all the same stuff. So I don't know if you've been around for a while. Your perspective of no audience. Why don't people want to watch that?
I don't understand it because I struggle to stay awake through an entire NASCAR race. I mean, the activity level, you know, just the excitement, short bursts, you know, it's
right. It's
over
6
or 8 minutes of crazy,
15,
you know,
15,
and then,
20 laps is a long race.
And
Yep.
they wheel out another heat race and it all goes nuts
the next
again.
one goes again.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of it's got to be exposure.
Yep.
People just haven't seen it.
Well, you haven't had a good marketing machine behind it, like an NASCAR,
Yes,
like WWE.
You know, and that's why to me, guys like Kyle Larson are magical for the sport.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
and Tony Stewart.
And Tony
was.
Stewart,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah. I had lots of
Guys that
conversations
cross
with him.
over,
Yep.
and Kyle going back and forth and just dominating everywhere.
Right.
I mean, it's just that kid's amazing.
Well, it may do, there's plenty of time going forward to make it popular.
Well, and this subject was kind of broached on a post on Facebook that I saw, and one of the people that jumped in, and I remember telling the story on the air a few weeks ago about we had during one of our Eagle Nationals years, I believe it was 2000 or 2001, we had the SCRA wingless 410 sprint cars in Southern California Racing Association. It was a field like 32 cars. It was nice, and we ran that on Thursday, and actually that was the year we ran that show on Wednesday, and we ran a 3-day outlaw show. But the SCRA guys come in, and the guy that was doing videos on the roof above where Rick and I were announcing from, and Mike Boston and Terry Holloman did what they did on a weekly basis. They slid each other. They bounced off the wall. Jeff Griffiths bounced off the wall. Terry Ledger bounced it off the wall. They banged wheels a few times. Everybody did everything. Doug, you and Ron Love were down running the bottom, and you're sliding guys. And it's just this normal week for us.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing spectacular at all. Like it was a good race, but it was not one of our top 10 of that year. The dude from the SCRA literally jumped off the roof onto the deck, losing his mind, thinking we staged it. And he posted on a feed
As
that I
if.
said,
Yeah, as if.
but he posted, he goes, there's nothing like the old school 360s at Eagle. I was at a show back in 2001. I was videoing for the SCRA, and I watched Terry Holloman do this. And I'm like, that's the dude I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the weekly show out there. And as expensive as it is, like, there, you just sit there at times and you're like, how?
Yeah.
And why aren't more people watching this?
So tell me about the tracks a little bit, because this is some of what makes it fun, right? You tend to have more accidents, which people like. I mean, even last night, right? As long as people aren't hurt, I'm going to say people like it, right? And people don't like people getting injured. But what is it? So a certain race won't necessarily jazz you more than a different race, but I bet certain tracks are more fun to run. Or what is it about it makes a track more fun than the next one that you go to, or more interesting, or more challenging?
For me, it's just which tracks just suited my style of driving,
Which is what?
or maybe maybe something is. I'm more of a I had a bad crash in 2006, and from that point on, I became more of a chess player than a cowboy, and so I like ones that are more technical, that that maybe they slick off, they'll blow off, and you got to figure out how to get there first instead of just the cowboy deal and bucking through the cushion. And because like the 305 thing, the motor just doesn't have the power band to make it quite as a flashy of a show, in my opinion. That Mike Boston's the perfect example of that. In the 360s, he just killed everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, that old saying, that Mike Boston is not afraid of the wall's afraid of Mike Boston. And it was the truth.
Yeah.
But that power band of that motor made it to where he could do that. Well, it's so narrow in the 305s now, it doesn't work as well. So when he has a good night, it's because his car is free enough that he can get around the top better than guys can get through the slick or, drag race the bottom.
So what makes one more technical than the other? Because we've had this conversation on asphalt. I prefer a technical road course type track. Same kind of thing.
Technical to me on a dirt track is when it burns off, and there's really you have to find the quick way to get around. Like last night, perfect example of a guy executing the technical track that it ended up being was Druki. If you watched his line, he would roll into turn 3 and he would come down off, and he would exit the bottom, and that was so much faster than how anybody else was doing it.
Yep.
And to me, that's the fun of it. It's not.
It's always to me the fun, right? Finding the fastest line.
Dive bombing guys with your eyes closed and hoping it works.
Right. Getting the fastest liner on the track is fun.
And I've done my share of that. And, but I got old enough now. You don't heal as quick. And
well, I have gray hair. I could have been the one running out to the car. So when you said that, I was like, hey, wait a minute. I've got gray hair. So yeah, maybe I get a job at Eagle.
That's Doug Lovegrove, Rebecca Pearson on my right. I'm Mike Melby. Austin Norman driving the car. We're going to step aside for a quick break. Come back with more on the finish line on 93.7 The Ticket right after this.
This is Brian at Midwest Bank, and we've been proudly serving clients in the Lincoln community since 2008, and we're excited to open a second location in January 2024 at 70th and Pioneers Boulevard. Our new branch will provide all the convenient services you're looking for in a bank, along with the friendly staff we're known for. Whether starting a business, expanding your business, our team is here for you. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Find out more at midwestbank.com, member FDIC.
It's Christmas in July at Pillar Restaurant Group when you purchase a $100 gift card and receive a $15 bonus card. One gift card for all of our locations, including Venue Restaurant and Lounge, Piedmont Bistro, the Butchery and Venue at Home, and all Lincoln Good Sense subs. Our Christmas in July gift card special is available at all Pillar Restaurant Group locations or online at prgnebraska.com. That's prgnebraska.com to get a $15 bonus card when you purchase a $100 gift card.
You deserve the best. With a Liberty First MasterCard, you can pay down your high-rate debt and could save hundreds when you transfer the balance. The Liberty First Credit Union MasterCard has no balance transfer fees, no cash advance, and no annual fee. And with a fixed rate as low as 9.99% APR and you choose rewards, you'll be able to manage your card your way. Visit libertyfirstcu.com. Rates and terms are based on your credit and subject to change. Federally insured by NCUA. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose.
Old School with DP and J.
As long as it's taken for him to build up that program to be pretty successful by their standards and look, pretty successful by Big Ten West standards, you have to take that into accountability. You can't be an impulsive, in the moment type of decision maker, because how you handle Pat Fitzgerald could stymie you from hiring, because those coaches talk.
93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey, CNC machinists, do you feel like you're in a dead-end job with your boss hovering over your shoulder? That's so annoying. Not at Garner Industries. We provide the opportunity and trust our CNC machinists to bring the talent. I'm Bob Williams, HR Director at Garner Industries, and we're looking for new team members in our CNC department. At Garner Industries, you'll work in a clean, climate-controlled, and safe environment with team members who want to see you succeed. You will also enjoy 4-day work weeks, great benefits, and a positive working culture. Interested? Apply on our career page at garnerindustries.com.
Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Smoked meats, amazing sides. The only problem when they fix you a plate is that at some point, that plate will be empty. But hear me out. What if that plate was never empty? That dream can be your reality with the Mary Ellen's Express Lunch Buffet. From 11 to 2 every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and even Saturday. One price, all you can eat, and it even comes with a drink. Tell your boss you're taking a long lunch and get down there. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul at 29th and Pine Lake. Let them fix you a plate.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy? It's Planet Fitness. Now through July 19th, you can join for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 convenient locations worldwide and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. Whether you're a newbie or a gym pro, you belong in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime. Deal ends Wednesday, July 19th. See Home Club for details.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey guys, Jake Sorensen here from Early Break, and on behalf of the entire 93.7 The Ticket team, we are excited to announce this fall we are teaming up with Husker Extra for the Big Red Brunch. We'll have big names from now and the past from Husker Sports, and that all starts on Wednesday, August 9th for the Big Red Brunch Golf Scramble at Tiburon Golf Club in Gretna. Sign up to play today at omaha.com and find the Big Red Brunch tab. You won't want to miss this on August 9th at Tiburon in Gretna.
Back to the finish line with Mike Melby on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Speaking of music,
And welcome back to the finish line on 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com. I'm Mike Melby, Austin Norman driving the car. Rebecca Pearson, as always, and co-host for the week, Doug Lovegrove. Doug, we've talked about all kinds of stuff. I want to get in before we have to wrap it up and throw it over to the Get Your Happy On Hour with Ricky Simmons. Jesse Foster going to be his guest tonight. You also play drums for Swap Meet Sally. And I remember when, we grew up across the street from each other, and I want to say I didn't know that you had taken guitar lessons or whatever, and that you were kind of getting into it. And then one day we were out kind of talking about music and Van Halen, and you go, "Hey, come here." And we walk in and we go into his house, and he lays the guitar down on his lap and he turns on his amp and he does Eruption. And like, it is spot on. And I'm like, I can't say what I said, but I'm like, what in the world? Like, dude, like,
you had no
you're
idea.
going to be a rock star.
Oh, no. I'm weird. When I find something that intrigues me, I go at it 1,000 miles an hour and I can't stop.
Until you've mastered it.
Or the best I can do.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. How did you switch then from drums or from guitar to go to just start playing drums? Because
the drums I started in fifth grade in school.
I didn't know you were playing those. Okay.
Yeah, so I played drums all through school and all that, and did the drum camps at UNL and all that kind of stuff. And of course, got to want to try to get girls' attention. So so we started playing, and that's where Dana Diekey was on not too long ago. And we became good friends, and we started kind of messing around playing music together because he was fiddling around playing guitar, and obviously he was a drummer. And I got to the point with drums that it wasn't, it's okay, but after you sit in the basement and play drums to the radio enough time, there's only so many variations with it. So I got a guitar and teaching myself how to play it, and figured it out, and not that good. And I haven't played for a while. I know a lot of Van Halen songs.
Love Van Halen.
Well, yeah, and you and Dana then formed the band. It was Fifth Estate.
Fifth Estate.
Yeah.
With
Joe Yelkin was still playing guitar. He's still with Swap Meet Sally.
He's in Swap Meet Sally. And then Steve Ballmeyer.
Played bass. Yeah, him and Julie. Because I was working at the
that's
Blaze.
Right. Yeah, he married
Julie. I'm at the
from
Blaze as Iron Mike, and Julie is Julie Fox.
Fox,
and Julie's married to Steve Ballmeyer, who was the bass player for
we should just start singing "It's a Small World" pretty soon.
Do that. I've been to Disney a few times, so
There
get
you
right
go.
at that and Running with the Devil, Van Halen.
Yes,
one of
there
my
you go.
faves. Yeah, absolutely. Where does Swap Meet Sally play?
Oh gosh, we're at Cappy's this Friday.
Uh-huh.
Gosh, we play anywhere that'll have us. We
Okay.
all the venues that have bands.
I haven't been to Cappy's yet. Might be a reason to go.
We got hired to play a company party for a construction company in the little town in central southern Iowa 2 weeks ago, and it was an experience. This guy, we told him the songs we play, and we have songs with swearing in it or whatever, songs not appropriate filter. It's like, do you want the PG version or do you want? And he's like, oh no, these are all construction workers. It's going to be a crazy party. I'll have to show you the pictures, but we ended up, and we get there, and they had little whistling.
Okay.
It's missing. That's what they called it that. So I think it's PG referred to as that.
Okay.
But and then we would play in between that, and it ended up that
I'm sorry.
you wouldn't believe the things I've seen. I need therapy really bad. And we ended up playing for 2 Amish families, and they had matching colored shirts, like button-up shirts, and it was interesting.
I love it. The credentials for where you can play are
Yes,
quite
that's
broad.
how my life involves series of moments where you you've made it.
Yes. And that is clearly
And that
one
is
of them.
Clearly
a
one of them,
milestone.
yes. I'm like, well, all of this practicing has finally come.
All our listeners
It's all
need to
come
come
to
here
fruition
at
for me.
Cappy's. Yes, come here. Swap Meet.
Yeah, Swap Meet Sally
at Cappy's.
At Cappy's,
And you can
this
meet
Friday,
the
and then,
famous Doug.
we'll be back out to Eagle on Saturday.
Yeah.
A little work to do. This
And you
week.
race in between playing.
Yeah.
That's interesting career.
Okay,
choice.
now Lovegrove Homes, you guys started building houses a few years ago. Just out of curiosity, I'm not going to extend the invitation, but I do want to mention that 93.7 The Ticket has the LIBA Business Hour.
Mm-hmm.
And with your background in business and all of the businesses, I mean, you started with the sports memorabilia store at East Park.
Sports Unlimited. We had one of those in Lincoln and Omaha, and we did first grocery store was Waverly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we had one in Hickman, the Jack and Jill, and then we had Food Pride in Nebraska City, and we had the York, the first Love Groves, and then we ended up changing Waverly to Love Groves, and then sold out to the Russes. In
the Russ's Markets.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever worked for anyone? Because as long as I can, literally out of high school, I walk into this really cool collectible shop and you're standing behind the counter and you're like, I was like, oh, you work here? And you go,
Did
"What?"
we cover that I'm weird?
No,
Like,
oh, I own it. And I'm like,
nobody ever
what?
told me. No, I don't know if my parents, but nobody ever told me that I can't do anything. I would
for
try
you.
brain surgery if I thought I could, if I wasn't worried about killing the person.
I think it's great.
I worked for Jim Schroeder at the store in Waverly when I was young, and then bought it from him. But
you're a testament to the American dream. I think it's fantastic. You
Yeah.
can grant, you can run own businesses, you can sell businesses. I mean,
I
what a
think
fascinating
the one
story.
thing my parents beat into my head, no matter what it was if you're not doing something that you want to do, it's because you don't want to.
Yeah.
And if you truly want to, then go do it. And even like you've known me forever.
Yep.
I wouldn't say that I'm the thrill seeker kind of dude. I'm not, I drive like a grandpa in my truck. I'm not on the edge of my seat, and you would never know it in a race car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm proud of myself that I was able to achieve things with racing, because that's not, and Dana's the same way. Me and Dana are so very similar in a lot of ways, in that he's very cerebral. I want my car to do the work, so I don't have to, I want to figure out every aspect of how this thing goes so that I don't have to fight it and I can do well. If I can't do well, most people would be like, I'm not gonna, no. If I do it all,
years ago, actually maybe it was 4, because I think it was before COVID, and it was March, and I was just like, you gonna race again this year, because it's just kind of one of those, like, you'd won the track title like a couple of years before that, and like you've kind of accomplished everything, and you're like, why the hell wouldn't I?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't.
No,
That's just like the drums is the same way. I practiced so long to get to a certain point that I can probably play most anything I hear or I've heard. I mean, I'm not the best, but I can pull it off pretty well. Why quit now? I'm not falling apart. The guys I play with are awesome. The racing thing, there's so many good people. What am I gonna sit at home?
Yeah. And the sad thing, you actually have to quit now.
We do.
We're up against the clock. Jesse Foster is going to be on. Get your happy on with Ricky Simmons next on 93.7 The Ticket. Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, thank you.
At Ascend Aesthetics, they understand that you want results and you want them fast. That's why they've developed the fastest weight loss and body toning programs that are clinically proven to shed extra fat, boost muscle mass, and tighten skin without having to spend hours till your leaner physique, ignite your testosterone levels, and boost your energy with personal.